Jungkook had been pacing for the last 10 minutes. The room was warm, softly lit, not too flashy, not too plain, just enough. He had moved the furniture a little, added cushions, lit a mild scented candle near the window. Cozy, safe, somewhere Taehyung wouldn't feel like running away. The kitchen still smelled like food. Jungkook had cooked everything himself. Simple dishes, nothing fancy. Things that felt like home. Because Taehyung wasn't just his friend. Somewhere between quiet lunches, side notes, and the way Taehyung trusted him enough to sit beside him every day, Jungkook had fallen hard, but he didn't want to rush anything. Taehyung deserved comfort before confession, safety before love. Jungkook checked the time again. Why am I more nervous than on exam day? He muttered, rubbing his palms together. Then, knock knock. Jungkook's heart jumped straight into his throat. He stopped breathing. That's him, he whispered to no one. He stood still for a second, closed his eyes, and took a deep breath. Calm down. Don't scare him. Straightening his shirt, Jungkook walked to the door. His hand hovered over the handle for a brief moment. Then he opened it and froze. Jungkook couldn't speak. For a moment, his mind went completely blank. The first thing he noticed was the hair. Silky, long, silver catching the light like moonshine. The soft evening breeze brushed through it gently, sand slipping over Taehyung's hair, framing his face so perfectly it didn't feel real. Jungkook's finger twitched at his side, the sudden urge to touch it almost painful. Then Taehyung lifted his head, and Jungkook forgot how to breathe. Those eyes, one deep blue, calm and endless like the ocean before a storm, the other warm brown, soft, grounding, achingly gentle, heterochromatic, ethereal. Jungkook felt like he could dive into them and never want to come back, like he could stare for the rest of his life and still not get bored. His heart pounded so loud he was sure Taehyung could hear it. Taehyung stood there, nervous, hands clasped together, clearly bracing for rejection. But Jungkook wasn't seeing flaws. He was seeing beauty, the kind that still has breath, the kind that makes your chest ache. Jungkook realized right then and there, without terrifying clarity, he had fallen for Taehyung all over again, harder, deeper, completely. 10 minutes passed. 10 minutes of Jungkook just standing there, eyes locked on Taehyung. 10 minutes of Taehyung feeling his chest tighten, convinced Jungkook must be thinking he looked disgusting. Finally, Taehyung's thread worked. He fake coughed, nervously tugging at his lips. If you don't want to see me again, I can leave. His stammered voice barely above a whisper. Jungkook gasped, suddenly moving closer, his hands wrapping around Taehyung's wrist with the gentle grip imaginable, like it might shatter under any pressure. Tae, stop, he said immediately. Please. Taehyung's eye widened. I'm sorry. Jungkook hurried on, words stumbling out. I I was staring like that, but you look so ethereal. I couldn't even stop. I I can't even describe how beautiful you look. Calling you beautiful will be an insult to your beauty. Taehyung's cheek flared red, warmth spreading all the way to his ears. You don't find me, he started, voice trembling. Jungkook stopped him instantly, shaking his head, eyes fierce but gentle. Don't, don't even dare to complete that sentence, he said, thumb brushing lightly over Taehyung's flushed cheek. Taehyung froze, melting a little under the touch. Can I get inside? Taehyung asked, voice barely audible. Jungkook blinked, then slowly nodded, stepping aside. Taehyung's heart hammered in his chest as he crossed the threshold. Inside, safe, but still completely exposed to the boy who had already stolen his breath. Taehyung stepped inside, taking a careful, almost hesitant step. Every corner of the room looked warmer, softer, more inviting than he had imagined. The faint scent of vanilla and something savory from the kitchen made his stomach flutter nervously. Jungkook stayed close but gave him space, as if afraid to overwhelm him. You can sit wherever you like, he said softly, voice a little shaky, betraying his own excitement. Taehyung's eye flickered around the room, finally sitting on the small, neatly arranged dining table. Jungkook had set up two plates, steam curling gently from the food. Somehow, everything felt personal, made just for him. He lowered himself into the chair, cap long gone, hair falling naturally over his shoulders. Jungkook took the seat across from him, careful not to meet his gaze too directly. To the corner of his eyes couldn't help but keep sneaking glances at Taehyung. I I hope you like it, Jungkook said, trying to sound casual but his fingers fidgeting on his lap. Taehyung felt warmth spread through his chest. I I already do, he admitted quietly, voice soft enough that Jungkook leaned forward slightly, eager for more. A small, comfortable silence settled over them. No teasing, no awkward stares from strangers, just the quiet intimacy of shared space and the faint hum of something unspoken hanging between them. Jungkook finally dared to smile, small and sigh. I I wanted it to be comfortable, not too much, not too little, just us. Taehyung felt his heart skip. He wanted to say something, to tell him how grateful he was, how safe he already felt, but the words coughed in his throat. Instead, he just nodded, a tiny, genuine smile tugging at his lips. Jungkook's chest swelled a little at that. He's smiling at me. And in that moment, surrounded by the soft warmth of the room, the faint scent of home-cooked food, and the lingering tension of unspoken feelings, both of them knew something was changing, something quite tender and impossible to ignore. The door had closed behind them, but neither of them wanted it to open again, not yet. The next day, Jungkook walked into class, backpack slung over one shoulder, and froze. There he was, Taehyung, no cap, silver hair falling naturally over his forehead, eye catching the morning sunlight in a way that made Jungkook's chest tighten. How how can someone look this beautiful? He blinked and Taehyung was already sitting at his usual bench, quietly taking out his books. unaware of the storm brewing in Jungkook's chest. Jungkook's step faltered. He felt heat rise in his ears. Focus, focus. Finally, he reached the bench and slid into the seat beside Taehyung. Taehyung's head lifted slightly and his cheeks felt red. Don't stare too much, he mumbled, trying to focus on his notebook. Jungkook smirked, leaning a little closer. Oh, is someone getting shy now? Taehyung's blush deepened. He dropped his gaze and let out a small, nervous giggle. And just like that, the rest of the classroom, the noise, the distractions, they ceased to exist. For the first time in a long while, the world shrank to just two of them, sitting side by side, breathing the same air, smiling at the same shared jokes that weren't even said out loud. They had created their own little bubble, a bubble where Taehyung could be himself, where Jungkook could just look at him without fear. And in that bubble, they were happy, completely, simply, unashamedly happy. That night, Taehyung's phone buzzed. Jimin. Hey, so now that you have your lover, you forget your best friend? Jimin teased, voice full of mischief. Taehyung felt his ears heat up instantly. He fumbled with his hoodie, hiding his face. He isn't my lover, he stammered, cheeks a burning mess. Jimin laughed softly, the teasing tone still in his voice. Tae, even though I haven't met Jungkook properly, I can tell, just from talking to you. I know he's already in love with you. Taehyung's lip pressed into a small pout. Jimin softened, smiling warmly. Tae, just propose to him already, before it's too late. Taehyung's heart thumped wildly in his chest. He chewed his lower lip, thinking he could do this. Couldn't he? Slowly he nodded. The next day, Taehyung walked to the college, nerves twisting in his stomach, and then he froze. There in the hallway, Jungkook was hugging someone. Taehyung's chest tightened, breath catching. He couldn't see who it was at first, but something about the familiarity of the gesture made his stomach flip. No, not him, not someone else. He stepped closer, heart hammering, unsure if he wanted to run or confront, unsure if his pulse was hope or panic. And in that moment, everything he had been gathering the courage for, the words, the feelings, hung on a knife edge. Tears well up in Taehyung's eyes. Before Jungkook could even notice properly, Taehyung turned around, shoulders shaking, taking hurried steps away. His chest hurt, too tight, too fast, too much. Tae, Jungkook saw him. Panic shot through him instantly. Jungkook rushed forward and gently cuffed Taehyung's wrist, grip firm but careful, like he was afraid Taehyung might disappear if he held too tight. Tae, Tae, don't, please don't run away, he said breathlessly. Taehyung stopped but didn't turn around. He's my friend, Jungkook continued quickly. It's his birthday today. I was just wishing him, that's all. Taehyung looked down, silver hair falling over his face, voice trembling. You don't have to explain to me, you whisper. You can hug anyone you want. I'm the... Jungkook didn't let him finish. He stepped closer and pressed a soft, sudden kiss to Taehyung's cheek. Taehyung froze. Tae, Jungkook said quietly, forehead resting against his temple. I love you, so don't ever say that again. Taehyung's brain short-circuited. His cheeks turned red instantly, tears stopping mid-fall. You love me? Jungkook nodded without hesitation. Eyes sincere, warm, steady. I do. Taehyung let out a shaky breath and then wrapped his arm tightly around Jungkook, clinging like he had been holding this feeling in for years. I love you too, he murmured with small but sincere. Cookie, I love you. Jungkook giggled softly, heart bursting, and hugged him, back just as tight, chin resting on Taehyung's shoulder. In the middle of the noisy hallway with people passing by and the wall still moving, they stayed like that for a moment longer. No caps, no hiding, no fear. Just love. From that day on, college felt different. Taehyung no longer walked alone. Jungkook was always there, walking beside him, sitting close, fingers brushing, shoulders touching like it was the most natural thing in the world. They were inseparable, lunched together, notes share, quiet, laugh during lectures. Everyone noticed, and Taehyung noticed everyone too. If someone stood a little too close to Jungkook, Taehyung's jaw would tighten. If someone smiled at Jungkook for more than a second, Taehyung's mismatched eyes would darken. If someone touched Jungkook's arm, even accidentally, Taehyung would give so hard it could burn holes. Jungkook noticed it all. At first he was surprised, then amused, then strangely warm. Because every possessive glance, every subtle pull closer, every quiet his mind written all over Taehyung's posture made Jungkook feel chosen, wanted, loved.